I was walking alone at 2 a.m. The streets were silent, the sky was dark, and even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. I wasn't out for anything important, just another sleepless night. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I walk. No music, no destination, just me and the empty world. That night felt colder than usual. My footsteps echoed through the alleyway as if the world was reminding me that I was completely alone. But then, I wasn't. At first I heard a faint sound. So soft I almost ignored it. I kept walking, assuming it was a cat or maybe some stray animal digging through trash. But then it happened again. Louder this time. Not a meow. Not a dog. Not even a person. It was a baby. I froze. My heart stopped. A chill ran through my spine so hard I felt rooted to the ground. There was no way. No way a baby was crying out here. At 2 a.m., alone. But the sound came again. Broken, weak, desperate. I turned slowly toward the trash can near the corner of the alley. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to open it. I was terrified of what I might find, but I had to. Hands shaking, I reached for the lid and lifted it. What I saw inside, I will never forget. Wrapped in a dirty piece of cloth, barely big enough to be called a blanket, was a tiny newborn baby. Red face, closed eyes, little fists waving weakly. Crying, not loudly, but as if he no longer had the strength to scream. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. My mind went blank. I stared, unable to understand how any human could do this. How someone could carry a child for 9 months, bring it into the world, and then throw it away like garbage. My eyes burned. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear dropped onto the baby's forehead. That single tear snapped me out of shock. Hey. Hey, it's okay. It's okay, I'm here, I whispered, my voice shaking. The baby calmed just a little, as if he heard me. I reached into the can and carefully lifted him into my arms. He was freezing, so light, so fragile. My hands trembled as I held him close to my chest, trying to give him whatever warmth I could. Don't worry, I've got you now. I looked around, expecting someone to jump out, claim it was a prank, anything. But there was no one. Just darkness, silence, and me, standing there with a miracle in my arms. My legs started moving before I even decided where to go. Hospital, police, anyone. I didn't know what to do. All I knew was I wasn't letting him go. For the first time in my life, I was responsible for someone's heartbeat. As I rushed down the street with the baby in my arms, I could feel his tiny heartbeat against my chest. Fast, weak, desperate. Every second that passed felt like I was holding a life slipping away. My hands were freezing, but his skin was even colder. I took off my jacket, wrapped him in it, and held him even tighter. I knew the nearest hospital was about 15 minutes away on foot, but 15 minutes suddenly felt like 15 hours. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I screamed for help. Help! Somebody please. At first, no one responded. But then, a window lit up from a nearby building. A man stuck his head out. What's going on? He yelled. It's a baby! I shouted back. Someone left him in a trash can. The man disappeared from the window and within seconds, came running out of the building wearing slippers and holding his car keys. Get in, he said. No time to waste. He didn't ask who I was. He didn't doubt me. He just opened the door. That night, a stranger became a hero without even knowing my name. We drove fast, maybe too fast. But I didn't care. Every little cry from the baby felt like a knife to my chest. Stay with me. Stay with me, buddy, I kept whispering. My voice cracked every time. We reached the emergency entrance. I ran inside like a madman. Please. Help! It's a baby! He's freezing! Nurses rushed toward us immediately. One of them carefully took the child from my arms and placed him on a warm cradle with oxygen support. Doctors swarmed around him while I stood there, frozen, shaking, still holding nothing but the dirty cloth he had been wrapped in. A nurse turned to me. Where did you find him? Is he yours? My throat tightened. Trash can. Someone left him there. I don't know who. She placed a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing bringing him here. Stay close. We'll need your statement. Minutes later, the police arrived. 2 officers, one with suspicion in his eyes, the other with concern. Sir, we need you to explain everything, the older officer said. I repeated the story. Every detail. From the first cry to the hospital, he nodded slowly. You understand we'll need to check the security cameras in that area. There might be evidence. Do whatever you need, I said. Just, please make sure he's okay. The officer looked at me for a moment. Then his voice softened. You saved his life tonight. I didn't respond. Because honestly, I didn't feel like a hero. I felt angry, furious. How could anyone abandon something so pure? Hours passed. Doctors worked. Nurses moved. Police filed reports. But I didn't move from that hallway. I couldn't. It felt like I had been tied to that spot, or maybe tied to that baby. Finally, a doctor came out. He's stable now, he said with a tired but gentle smile. If you had come even 10 minutes later, I don't think he would have survived. My knees almost gave out. I leaned against the wall, covering my face as tears finally broke loose. Can I see him? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The doctor nodded and led me inside. There he was, wrapped in fresh blankets, tiny hands curled into soft fists, his chest rising and falling gently, peaceful, warm, alive. I stood there, staring at him, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. There was something about him, a strange pull, as if fate had put him in my path for a reason. One of the nurses smiled at me. He doesn't have a name yet. Would you like to give one, just for now? I hesitated, then whispered, Hope. I sat beside the hospital crib, watching him sleep. The soft beeping of the monitor felt like a heartbeat, steady, calm, alive. I didn't know how long I had been staring, but time didn't matter anymore. All I knew was that this little life had somehow become the center of my entire world. A soft voice interrupted my thoughts. You haven't taken your eyes off him since you brought him in. I turned to see a nurse smiling gently. Most people drop off abandoned. Babies and leave immediately, she continued. But you haven't even gone home. I shrugged slightly. I just can't walk away. Not yet. She nodded respectfully and walked out, leaving me with my thoughts. Hours passed. Dawn was slowly breaking, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and gold. I hadn't slept. I hadn't eaten. But surprisingly, I didn't feel tired. Adrenaline was still pumping through me, but beneath it, something else had awakened. A feeling I had never known before. Protectiveness. Suddenly, the door opened. A social worker walked in, clipboard in hand, businesslike expression on her face. Good morning, she said, her tone professional. I'm here regarding the abandoned infant found last night. Her eyes scanned the room, then landed on me. Are you the one who brought him? Yes, I said, gripping the side of the crib unconsciously. Thank you for your action. We will take over his legal process now. He will be assigned a temporary shelter while authorities search for his biological parents. In case no family member claims shelter. I interrupted sharply. She paused. Yes, it's standard procedure. You're telling me, after being thrown in the garbage, he's going to be moved yet again to some facility? Another strange bed? Another strange ceiling? Her expression softened a little. I understand your concern, but we have protocols. Then change them, I snapped before I could control myself. She blinked, surprised. I took a deep breath. My voice steadied. Let me do it. Do what? I placed my hand gently on the baby's blanket. Let me take care of him. At least until someone claims him. I found him. I brought him. I'm not walking away now. The social worker hesitated. You understand that's a serious responsibility? I do, I said firmly. But abandoning him again, even to assist him, feels wrong. He didn't deserve the trash can. He doesn't deserve to be passed around either. The room fell silent. She stared at me for a long moment as if trying to read my soul. Finally, she spoke. I'll discuss it with my department. Temporary emergency care can be granted in special cases, but you'll have to go through background checks. Do whatever you need, I replied instantly. I'll cooperate fully. She nodded and left. I turned back to the baby. Looks like you're stuck with me for now. Little Hope, I whispered with a soft smile. His tiny hand twitched, as if answering. And in that moment, I made a promise. I don't know where you came from. I don't know who left you. But I swear, you'll never feel alone again. Not as long as I'm breathing. The next few days were a blur of paperwork, background checks, interviews, and endless questions. I met with officers, doctors, counselors, all of them trying to determine if I was fit to take care of the baby I had already given my heart to. They wanted to know my income, my past, my mental state, everything. At times I felt like I was on trial, but every time I felt overwhelmed, I looked through the glass at the tiny crib in the nursery, and I found strength again. He didn't have anyone. If I walked away now, he'd become just another file in the system, another unidentified infant, another tragic story people forget in a week. No, not this one. On the fourth day, I was called into a quiet office. The social worker and a senior officer sat across from me. Their expressions were serious, unreadable. My heart pounded. "This was it. We've reviewed your case," the officer began. "And while this is highly unusual," I held my breath. The social worker smiled softly. "You've been granted temporary guardianship of the child." For a second, I couldn't speak. My vision blurred. "You mean I can take him home?" I whispered. "Yes," she replied. "He'll still be under state supervision for some time, but he will live with you." I nodded slowly, then finally exhaled all the emotion I had been holding in for days. I didn't cry loudly. I didn't fall to my knees. I just stood there, tears silently rolling down my face, as a simple truth echoed inside me. I didn't find him that night. He found me. They placed him in my arms. No machines, no tubes, no hospital sheets. Just warm, soft life. He was awake now, his little eyes blinking up at me. Curious, innocent. "Ready to go home?" I whispered. He made a tiny sound, almost like a sigh, as if saying yes. Walking out of that hospital felt different. The world looked brighter. The air felt lighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking alone. People looked at us. Some smiled, some stared, but I didn't care. Let them wonder. Let them ask. Let them judge, because in that moment, I wasn't just a stranger who saved a life. I was a protector, a guardian, a father, and not by blood, but by destiny. That night I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I kept watching him breathe beside me. Every rise and fall of his chest reminded me, life is fragile. Life is precious, and sometimes, life gives you a second chance disguised as responsibility. I still don't know who abandoned him. Maybe one day we'll find out. Maybe we never will. But one thing I do know, trash didn't define him. Pain didn't break him. Fate didn't forget him. And from that night on, neither will I.